of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN Monday morning, just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We got about 24 minutes till the opening bell, and we got markets in negative territory to kick things off. We got the S&Ps right now. You're negative by 15 points, but we just caught about a 10-point bid over about the last 2 hours from 7 in the morning at 39.50. We're up at about 39.60. You see that's kind of where we chopped around overnight. Close of action on Friday, you accelerated into a price point of about 39.75. NASDAQ 100, we're negative by 61, but you were just down there at about 11,600. We're at 11,650 right now. You're off by about 0.5%. Dow right now, negative by 21, 33,754, and the Russell negative by 7. Bitcoin with a little negative action. You see the gap over the weekend. We actually just had a 15,000 handle. So your Bitcoin down almost 3%. It's been holding pretty steady at about 16,005. I've been talking about, I have no reason why it's not deteriorating even more than that. You got Ethereum off about 6.3% at 11.25. Gold contract negative by $9 this morning with a little volatility down to 17.38. Excuse me, silver off 12 pennies at 20.87. And we jump to notes and bonds. A little bit of volatility just in the last hour even, as you have the 10-year right now up by 2 ticks. You get the 30-year up by 11 ticks, 125.25. And we check out the VIX right now. Volatility index slightly elevated with a negative market, with the VIX coming in at 24. And let's jump over to the dollar index and some currency action. We got higher price in the dollar, man. You're up by almost 80 ticks, almost a full point in the dollar to about 107.72. We jump over to the daily. It's been quite a pullback. If you're looking for some Fibonacci retracement areas, taking the run that we just had down to the low. In the dollar, you're talking about maybe 108.29, 108.30 area would be the 382, and that's just of the run we had from about 113 down to 106, right? 7 full points in the span of just over a week. Yeah, from basically November 4th to November 15th, so 11 days. You go from 113 to 106. We're pushing 108 in the dollar index this morning. We jump over to the euro. Euro US dollar. Of course, a little bit of inverse action versus the dollar index. You've now pulled back to 102.4. Pretty far cry from where we were at parity for so long in the euro. We jump over the pound. Pound US dollar right now, 118.10. And we jump over to the yen. US dollar yen right now, 141. And you see with the action in the dollar index, the action in the yen, gold contract could be down more than $10 sometimes, and that type of action in the currencies. I mean, dollar index, one more time as we jump back to it, right? I mean, they're huge moves nonetheless, but in more ordinary times, man, a move from 107 to 108 would be gigantic in the dollar index, and those are just the moves we're doing almost on a daily basis right now. All right, let's jump around to some of the stories, and we'll kick it off with Disney, man. I've been talking about Disney for a while. We had it in my newsletter at one point. And boy, very hard to hold with the pullback it had. So we do not have Disney in my newsletter, but I do have some. And yeah, you know, you're chopping around in an area and maybe it finds a bid, because guess what? They're bringing back Iger. Chapman is out. And you take a look at the action this morning and you're going to open up $8, man, to 125. And jumping over to the articles. Where we at? There we go. Disney shares soar on Iger return as CEO after shock ouster. Shouldn't really be a shock, right? There's a couple of things to talk about this story. Should not really be a shock. I think shock. Coming into this, Disney down 25%, something like that, from when he came in, which was February 2020. Boy, tough time to be put in charge of a parks and streaming company as COVID hits. Tough time to be made CEO February 2020 for almost any company when you think about it in that regard, right? He's got a problem with profitability, that's for sure right now. The market's made him pay for it. In the long run, and this is the bull case, I know it, okay? In the long run, Iger may come in here and fix things, and that push away from profitability that Chapman had done really did grow Disney Plus to tremendous levels. The subscribers, absolutely immense. But how are they doing it? They're spending too much money, folks. They're losing money hand over fist, and they're going to do that for years to come. So nonetheless, Iger returns. The stock accelerates higher. He's 71. He's going to be back there for 2 years. He was 15 years as CEO. He's going to serve 2 years and will help find a permanent replacement, according to the company. And boy, it was a big battle when he left, remember? I forget the gentleman's name that ended up getting passed over, who was really in charge of their direct-to-consumer, basically in charge of the launch of Disney+. He ended up becoming the CEO of TikTok. That got crazy in its own right. He was out of there, and now he runs the private company that bought Coco Melon, children's programming. So I got to think of that name as well. But nonetheless, he's out. Chapman's in. There were questions in terms of if their focus of the company was going to be streaming. Well, they put a parks guy in charge. He handled the parks business pretty well, man. Parks doing pretty well coming out of the pandemic, navigating the pandemic. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's going to in charge with reversing the steep decline in the shares. Worst annual loss since at least the 1970s in terms of the pullback. He's going to need to rein in spending on programming for streaming video. Yeah, they've got activist investors in there. And you get Nelson Peltz. He just bought $800 million worth of Disney, I think. Dan Loeb's Third Point has also done that. But folks, that's what happens is if you're a shareholder, those are brilliant people, at least bright people in some degree, okay, that have a lot of money behind them, number one. They have their interests. They're going to be pushing Iger to do the right thing for the shares. You kind of want that stuff in the market if you're a shareholder in particular. So he was the CEO from 2005 to 2020. And yeah, Chapman, he rose through the ranks in the parks, man, in a big way. But yeah, February of 2020. And I'll pull up some of the numbers because it shouldn't be a shock. Now, what is a shock? Okay, you want to see shocks, right? I got a couple other articles. First of all, he's going to get paid for his term, but they just extend. This is where corporate governance, man, you know, as a shareholder, right? This money's taken from somebody, folks, the shareholders. They just gave him a 3-year contract extension, 5 months ago? And he's going to get all that money. I mean, imagine, you know, it just a little bit of corporate governance there. Was he that important to keep that they had to guarantee pay for 3 years? I don't think so. You know, what if they said, no, Bob, okay? You ain't doing the best job, Bob, for the shares, because if you take a look at Disney, I did this morning, right? I said, okay, they extended his contract in June. Where were shares in June? Maybe they were a lot higher. Let's give the board some credit. Maybe they were a lot higher. No, this is June. That's when they extended him, man. Disney shares were already pushing $90. Now, I'm guessing that he told them a story that earnings event that they had in August was going to be the moment for the turnaround, okay? That's why they extended it. They gave him the chance. He had their earnings, and guess what? When they came out in November, they said, not happening, Bob. We made a mistake giving you 3 years, but he's going to collect all that pay. He gets to keep his options if the stock price rises. I mean, you got to love it, right? And that's a particular story, folks, where it's not right, even as a public company, that this gentleman secured a 3-year pay. Okay, now what happens? It's almost a best case scenario. You know what? He's like, you're right. Thanks for giving me 3 years of salary. I'm not the guy to lead this, but I'll keep my options. And why don't you just bring Iger back? Because he's the man. I can't do the job he did, but I'll keep my options. Iger will come back. I'll cash in when the options run up, and I'll collect my check that you just guaranteed me for 3 years. In any other universe, there should be an uproaring in dramatic fashion. But nonetheless, a good thing for shareholders, in my opinion. Disney at about 100. We got S&P's negative 14. Stay tuned, folks. I'll be right back. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years years' experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We get the S&Ps right now, negative by 13 points. Taking a look at a 5-minute chart, you see the volatility overnight. We're trading where we've been chopping around since about 8:20 this morning. Jumping back to some of the stories I have pulled up here, we'll talk a little bit of ATX. Yeah, I would not doubt that Mr. Bankman-Fried is not jumping on a plane to the U.S. at his earliest convenience as he tries to broker a quote-unquote FTX bailout from his home in the Bahamas despite being booted from the crypto company. Now, it's remarkable, folks. And I'll pull this one up after the next break because one of the guys that was involved in one of the poker scandals going back 10 or 15 years was in some way associated with FTX. As you know, it could be a total coincidence, whatever it is. But the reason why I bring it up, because if Binance isn't coming to bail out FTX, folks, then nobody is. Because there's going to be massive losses, and the only reason that you would bail it out is for some type of goodwill for that type of level. And that's probably what Binance was willing to do if it wasn't a complete wipeout, which obviously this is, 100-fold over. It is akin to, and I bring it back to online poker, but folks, it's a similar area because you were dealing with such unregulated, right? Almost like exchanges. They were poker exchanges. People put on money. Instead of trading, you play poker. They hold your money. It's supposed to be segregated funds. Okay, very similar. And what ended up happening was Full Tilt ended up being a Ponzi scheme, straight out. And PokerStars, they were by far the #1 and #2 sites at the time. This was back in about 2011 that this happened. It actually happened April 15th, 2011 was when it happened, when the government shut down the 2 sites within the U.S., and that's what happens, folks. Okay, something goes on. In this case, it was the government coming after PokerStars and Full Tilt in 2011. They shut down the sites, and they gave those sites, though, the ability, they said, listen, you can't do business in the U.S. anymore. They filed charges, I think the Justice Department did, against those 2 companies. So those 2 companies, under indictment, stopped doing business in the U.S. PokerStars, facilitated with the Justice Department, said, we're not going to do business, but we have all of these client funds. They don't want to be harmed. They were coming after PokerStars. So what we're going to do is we're going to send all of the clients back their client funds. PokerStars was an amazing company run, private company at the time, multi-billion-dollar company. I think it got sold for. And nonetheless, they had the client funds segregated. They were doing things the right way. Full Tilt was a Ponzi scheme. So PokerStars gave back all the money. Full Tilt said, we got a problem. We don't have any money. Long story short, what happened? PokerStars made a deal with the Justice Department to buy Full Tilt, make full tilt customers whole in the process as well. Okay, because it was a Ponzi scheme. They weren't going to get made whole. PokerStars was going to buy full tilt. They were going to facilitate it. It was going to buy them goodwill. And what it also was going to do, because PokerStars realized that if that happened, online poker would have had a black mark for decades, possibly. Okay, and PokerStars, it was in their best interest to support the Ponzi scheme and make people whole, to make sure that the story did not become that online poker was a scam. Check out Full Tilt. To go through that story a little bit longer than I intended, okay? Nobody's coming to bail out FTX because Binance would have been a similar position there, okay? And you're seeing all these things fall, folks, okay? I'd say get your money off still. You don't know where this is going to go. The story out here today, okay, and this is the one I wanted to really get to, smart money is getting crushed. The 50 largest creditors have between 21 and $226 million that's tied up as customers of FTX. What are you doing with that kind of money, shipping it to some guy running an unregulated exchange in the Bahamas for crypto, where you have no idea where that money is held, no idea what he's doing, and you just trust them with $250 million on the 226 level? Whoo! You're going to have some explaining to do, man. And it's a wild one. And you total up just the 50 biggest, 50 individuals, entities. Okay, entities is probably a better thing to call it, right? Because you're talking about hedge funds in that capacity, I'm sure, that are in there. $3.1 billion. So just in the biggest 50 accounts that he got, Bankman-Fried, people sent him $3.1 billion. Imagine that. All it was 50 entities, and he got $3.1 million. A pair of customers, almost $250 million each they sent him. I don't get it. But you know what? We learn from this. Learn from this, folks, because very smart people. And yeah. And to your question, Dan, yes, PokerStars, they are still in business. They were actually bought by a public company at one point. They are pretty big in Europe. And unfortunately, though, they have deviated from being the by far poker site. And folks, they crushed it, man. They had a reward system where you could literally make, if you played an extreme amount of poker, okay, but a lot of people did back then, and as active traders sometimes yourself, you could make six figures, $100,000 in value, because they were raking the game so tremendously. Their best customers, they were giving $100,000 plus in value as rake back, because if you just played games and they played games, I played millions of hands, folks. Online poker, a different deal. But what did they do? They got sold to a public company, Dan. And then what did they do? It lost the value of consumer happiness, and it went to straight out profit. And what did they do? They kind of turned everything into a gambling casino aspect of things and took from the poker. And why did they do that, folks? Because there's not enough rake in poker, in their opinion. And they wanted to be in the casino gambling business where nobody wins, but the house always wins, man. And it was a bummer from a poker standpoint, but there's been other sites that have filled that gap. And unfortunately, we'll do the segue there, man. Online poker should be legal in the U.S., folks, okay? Horse betting is legal across the entire country. So tell me an argument where horse betting should be legal and online poker should be illegal. You want to say it's about protecting people from gambling, okay? One of the best parts about online poker, and we're totally segmenting all over the place, but this is perfect. Why not? Because it applies to risk, reward, everything. Okay, one of the benefits of online poker that I loved about it most, folks, is that you can sit there and play a $5 tournament that takes you 4 hours. And maybe there's 1,000 people in there. And the winner of that tournament is going to walk away with $1,200. So that's your excitement for the night. You spend $5. It's half the price of a movie ticket these days. You play a 4-hour online poker tournament, okay? And if you're doing well, that's how I built my bankroll in poker. That's how I did it. $5, $10, playing with friends when I was 22 years old, coming out of college as moneymaker, won the World Series of Poker in Vegas. And you can't do that in casinos. That's the worst part. We got a Hard Rock in Tampa, man. And if you want to go play poker there, realistically, okay, now they offer 1-2 limit, which is the biggest limit bet you can bet is $2. And that's a game. And yes, there's strategy and it's beatable, folks, in the long term. I enjoy No Limit Hold'em, which is the game that they show most on TV, okay? I enjoy Pot Limit Omaha as well. If you don't know Pot Limit Omaha, folks, look it up. It's pretty similar to No Limit Hold'em, except you get 4 cards in your hand instead of 2, and then they deal the 5 cards out in the middle. So everybody's got a lot better hands is what happens, because you got 4 cards, there's 5 in the middle that you're sharing. And But No Limit Hold'em, if you want to play No Limit Hold'em at the Hard Rock in Tampa, folks, you got to bring at least about $60 or $100, and that's buying in cheap. Realistically, the game you're playing has $1, $2 blinds, and you want to buy in. Most players, if you know what you're doing, buy in with about 100 big blinds. So realistically, I want to play the cheapest game that I can play of poker, I got to go to the casino and risk $100 to $200, as opposed to you go online. I said $5, folks. You can play dollar tournaments. You play a $10 tournament. You play a $20 tournament. What does happen online this is our online poker segment for the day. What does happen online, though, is guess what? Because you can play poker online for $1, the bad players are playing at $1, $5, $10. You get up to $20, $50, $100, you're getting into good players. You're at the casino playing that, and you're at the cheapest table in the casino, so you're playing against recreational players as well. All right, folks, come on back. We'll talk about the market. S&P negative by 11, Dow's positive. We'll be right back.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors. TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABCs, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got markets open, and you're looking at S&P down 13 points, NASDAQ 100 down 51. You get the Dow right now up 65, 33,840, and the Russell negative by 10. And jumping back to a little bit of crypto, man, to finish up the story, Grayscale refuses to share proof of reserves due to security concerns as shares trade at a 45% discount to Bitcoin. So to finish that conversation, folks, the people who had millions in FTX, that would be akin, just so you're aware, okay? of someone like myself, and it happened, man, especially in online poker, because you had a bunch of very young people in particular that were playing it almost like a video game, okay? So it catered to a very young male audience, and many of them made very foolish decisions to keep their entire bankroll, millions of dollars sometimes, for some of the best players, on full tilt. And they basically almost risked losing it all and only got bailed out by PokerStars, okay? So when you start seeing that people put, that would have been akin to, same thing, these 50 creditors, right, keeping between 20 and 200 million on that books, on FTX books. Well, Grayscale, I don't know enough about the whole industry, but I have been seeing enough headlines that they're saying they can't show their proof of reserves, which should be in cold storage, okay, due to security concerns. And that's probably why it's quoted here, because I saw this and I don't understand it well enough, folks. But guess what? I understand it enough to understand I don't understand it, which means why would I risk my money if it can all disappear tomorrow? I don't think Grayscale is that, but I don't know. And there's other avenues that you can put your money in to that degree. Coinbase is taking a lot of heat today. They're down, what, 6%? Let's see where they're trading at right now, Coinbase. Because the whole industry, man, Bitcoin should be below 16,000, folks. All right, so they catch a bid. They were down all the way to 42. You jump over to Coinbase. On the fundamentals, you're talking about a company right now with 225 million shares, right? So every $10 that this moves is $2.2 billion, okay? It just went from 54 to 44 from Wednesday, okay? You back things up to, and I believe that was the, last Tuesday, I believe was or was it Monday? No, it was Tuesday. That's when the FTX imploded. And I think you saw the acceleration higher when Binance came in and said that they were going to buy them. And then you saw it fade pretty quickly from 56. So the point being that you can see why it would be worth it for a company to avoid this, because already Coinbase's market cap is down about $2.5 billion since this started, folks, let alone what it's done, right, since its runs to 429 when it goes public, when Bitcoin, they pushed it to highs, let alone you're at 350, okay? Be careful is the point, man, because no one's coming to save crypto. There's going to be no bailout. It's all going to get sorted out, and it's hard to imagine that capitulation has occurred when you have so many billions being lost in a pretty instant period of time. So be careful with this one, though. For the first time, I saw some tweets. I don't understand it too well, but use common sense, folks. Okay, and use common sense in trading, right? My dad's talked about it. Thankfully, I wasn't deep enough into the dwell in terms of getting sucked in, because how did everybody in crypto think that guaranteed interest rates like panned out? How is everybody in crypto making 8 to 10 to 14% guaranteed in a zero interest rate environment? That should just set off fireworks in your head, man. And maybe you diversify yourself. When I had money in online poker sites, and I keep bringing it back, folks, because if you were doing this, it's the same thing. I lived through it for the better part of 10 years almost. Even further than that, I still play it in some capacity, but it's not legal in Florida, so it's unregulated. You can play offshore sites that are pretty reputable, but always in the back of your mind, folks, it's the same with poker as it is with Bitcoin. It's unregulated, so to a certain degree, you're just trusting people with your money until it ends up in your bank account, and that's what would happen. I would have thousands, I would have tens of thousands of dollars in my poker site, especially after a win, right? I had some wins online, tens of thousands of dollars, man. Big time money gets played, it still does. That money wasn't counted until it made it to my bank account, folks. And there's no reason that they should have been left it all in there. But this one, so use your common sense, okay? Full Tilt was just not doing good business. People had millions of dollars on there, and both sites only conducted business by email, which is amazing, number one, to have that type of business, multi-billion-dollar business. They set up offshore, and they said, you know what, if we have a good email back and forth program for customer service, we don't need phone. PokerStars did it brilliantly. You would email them, and they had a team that was replying to you instantly. Full Tilt had a team that sometimes took days. There were instances, folks, when Full Tilt, an account would get hacked. A person would say, hey, they'd email Full Tilt and say, my account's been hacked. I can see the person playing my account right now for tens of thousands of dollars on the tables. Please help me. And there'd be a delay. The moment I heard that, I took my money off it, okay? Because it didn't make sense that a company could allow gambling for millions of dollars. Somebody would break into your account, take your poker money, be playing at the table. You'd email them, and nobody would reply, right? So that's when I took my money off Full Tilt, because something was wrong, okay? They ended up being a Ponzi scheme. I only played on Full Tilt, and I had thousands of dollars on Full Tilt. When it got shut down, I had my money within 72 hours. Full Tilt people weren't even made whole for a year and a half because of the whole process that had to go through with the Justice Department. It does. All right, back to Bitcoin now. It does not make sense that in everything going on, okay, and maybe it is, but I'm not comfortable enough with how things appear with everything else going on and the black mark and the cascading going on in crypto right now, that they are not going to show their reserves in some capacity. Because security concerns, and this is what some of the tweets I saw out there, folks, should be in cold storage. And I believe there should be ways of proving those reserves while keeping those cryptocurrencies in cold storage, okay, and not risking security of those reserves while proving them, right? It's kind of hard when somebody's saying, hey, we have your money, but we can't prove it to you because that might be dangerous. So we'll leave it at that, man, because I think that sums things up well. Let's get back to the market and see how we're trading right now. You get the S&Ps down about 18. Yeah, a little bit of a pop and a give back, man. We just made it to 39.70 almost. We're at 39.56. Let's see how Disney opens on their news. At about $100, you make it to 101.60. You're at about 100. And yeah, listen, if you were looking for an opportunity to get in Disney shares, folks, I would start a position right here, man. You are right back into the COVID lows, okay? I have annotated on this. This is a weekly chart we're looking at, all right? Volume basis. You trail off into the low, and then what do? You blow it away, and maybe that's an exhaustion where everything just moved, man. Even the board said, that's it. We're done. We're done. Everybody said it, right? That is what a capitulation might look like, folks. And we pop higher from that same low. All right, we're at about $100, and just on a fundamental level, man, Iger's done it before, and I imagine he's going to do it again. And yeah, where I get so many articles up here. This is the one, yeah. And in the long run, after you give back that much of a gain in Disney shares, but he plowed everything into streaming, even to the tune of upsetting some of the actors, right? It's pretty amazing what happened there in terms of the pandemic. He pushed most of the movies to streaming right away. That grew Disney Plus. And yeah, you have the subscribers. Now you got to make money with it, man, in a big way. So we'll see how that goes. Be interesting. Iger back in charge, and Disney up about 8.8% to start the day. Dow was flat. S&P's down by 17. We got the gold contract right now down about $12. And oil, how about crude? 76.60. We'll talk about crude when we get back. Stay tuned, folks.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with a 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We have the crude contract. Look at this acceleration, right? These are 5-minute bars, man, from 79.50 down to 76.50. $3 move just since I came on the air. Crude wasn't exactly on the radar. Getting ready for the program early this morning, you see very little volatility, man. Things drop off. Now, not sure if this is all the news, as in this news out there already, okay, and driving some of the action, but in terms of over the weekend, so not exactly accelerating things from 9 o'clock. And I'm not sure if anybody knows in the den what happened at 9 o'clock that maybe sent those crude prices crashing, man. That was a big move. Let's jump around to commodities real quick, because, yeah, we're pushing $76 right now. Dollar index, yeah, no correlating move in terms of the dollar, as crude just really blowing out the bottoms right now. Now, this is going to be interesting to see how it goes, though. China's got their first death in 6 months. That's bananas, man. What do we have in the U.S.? Isn't like hundreds of people still dying every day? It's just such a dichotomy of where we are. That's why I think it's so difficult to understand how difficult it's going to be for China to come out of this, man. You can't just flip the switch and decide that you're done with COVID when you've refused to allow it to go anywhere for 2.5 years and there's no immunity whatsoever. So first COVID-related death in almost 6 months sparked concerns that Beijing could see a return of heightened restrictions on schools, restaurants, and shops amid a continuing outbreak in the capital. 87-year-old man died in Beijing on Saturday after his condition worsened, and he originally got sick 10 days ago. First documented death since May 26th. I mean, they just locked down cities, like I said, so folks, with the same amount of people as the state of Florida, 22 million people. Lock it down. Nobody moves until all the cases are gone. Don't know how they come out of that in a big way. Situation in Beijing is grim as many areas face hidden risks of the virus spreading in the community. Now, you think people are living in fear here, folks? Okay. There's a lot of people who aren't in Asia, China, in particular, who want to get out, okay, who want to start living again, understandably. But there's also, I was reading articles this weekend, a lot of people who, and you can understand why, being told that this virus is so bad, right, that we need to, and I know it gets political, but just stay on the China deal, okay, because things can take, there's nuance. That's what makes a lot of political discussions so tough, folks, is that there's nuance, okay? So take it out of the U.S. and all the stuff that goes with that and just keep it in China in your head, okay? Because in China, you talk about living in fear, man. You got politicians there saying things are so bad, nobody is moving for 2 weeks. You are not allowed to go outside for any reason. Because if this spread, okay, there's no testing as much. You don't need all these restrictions. And what's happened? People don't feel safe. They're not getting back out, because I've read the articles that are saying, you used to have all this mass testing, so I was sure that the people I was around didn't have COVID, but how are we going to open it up? I'm never going to know who has what anymore, and they weren't comfortable. They were taking their kids out of school. They weren't comfortable doing all this stuff. It's going to be really tough for China, man, and you're seeing it, right? 516 new COVID cases as of 3 p.m. on Sunday. It's not surprising, folks, that this thing would just crush through the population. if they really go to pull back those restrictions. And I'm not sure that as a dictator, Xi will be okay with that type of destruction of his people. So I don't know where that goes, man, but maybe that's part of what's reverberating. I'm not sure what was happening out there, but boy, we got a 75 handle in the price of crude this morning. For 2 days this year, we had a 7. Oh, you lost me. Oh, no. Okay, I'm back. So hopefully you heard some of that in terms of the China COVID. Just be careful. And I'm not sure what's reverberating, man, but this crude market, we're at prices that we have not seen since January 3rd or 4th, folks. With the 75 handle in the price of crude, you just dropped from a price point of $94, man. November 7th, crashing to $75.92. All right, did you tell me I'm back, Al? I heard something, but I couldn't hear that in my ear. Hopefully we get it all fixed, folks. All right, let's jump around to what else we have pulled up here. This one's an interesting one. I pulled it up because this is news, quote unquote. It's amazing what Amazon gets away with, even as somebody that's got Amazon shares, folks. This is literally news. I had to look like 3 different times. It's tech news. I had to make sure that it didn't have a promoted. Amazon's new 65-inch Fire TV is better and currently costs less than last year's model. It's news. Amazon just gets away with murder, man. They are the biggest company out there, and I'm joking in that regard, as in what a way to get free press, right? I couldn't believe it. And let me see if now I can't get back to the headline number. Yeah, I mean, look where it falls, right? Just in the CNBC, man, as news. Amazon's new Fire Inch TV. So I said, is that paid for? No, because CNBC, they do, increase your job applicants by 20. That's a paid post. By Recruiting Holdings, that's a promoted paid post. It's actually news on CNBC. Pretty remarkable. All right, what else do I have pulled up here? Let's see. Yeah, you have the World Cup in Qatar. I can't say it. The pronunciation is tough for Americans. I was reading about it because it's actually, they pronounce it. I thought it was Qatar, which is how it kind of rolls off your tongue, but Qatar or a slight different pronunciations, I think. Yeah, and keep this one on your radar. Qatar. Thank you. Perfect. There we go. Nice little phonetic. Qatar. Perfect. No wonder I couldn't pronounce it. I like it. Thanks, Jimmy. Large rail union votes to reject labor deal as national strike moves closer. So keep your eye on this one, man. 2 of the largest rail unions diverged. One of them approved it. One of them did not. But the one that did approve it said it will honor the picket line with the other unions that voted against the deal, and the strike could begin in early December, so it's going to stretch, man. Strike can start as early as December 5th. Not what we need in terms of inflationary pressures if you got rail shutting down with goods, etc. So we'll see how that one plays out. Yeah, but these 2 represent more than 50% of all rail labor. Yeah, so they're the big ones out there. One approved it, one did not. And nonetheless, unless they all approve it, it does not go forward. So that's the problem there. Excuse me. All right, what else we got pulled up? Yeah, this is a different, interesting one I was reading this morning in terms of Target and Walmart, the divergence. I mean, we're going to see this play out, folks. It was an interesting week of retail sales last week. You had Williams-Sonoma trading lower in pretty dramatic fashion on their numbers, right? At the same time, you had Macy's accelerating higher. Is it TJ Maxx? Yeah, TJ Maxx. I mean, check out that chart, man. From 53 up to $78. Ross stores had good numbers. They exploded higher up to 116, trading at 108.59. And Walmart, strong numbers, but Target missing the mark a bit. Target about 159, off from almost 180 last week. Stay tuned, folks. One more segment. S&P's negative by 8. We'll be right back.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. So we got a little bit of two-way volatility to start this thing. You put it on a 1-minute chart and you see, man, we make it up. Maybe we got 39.70, a little bit of an area of resistance to the upside right now, about 39.55, the area resistance to the downside. We just tested that area that we were at a couple minutes after the open. It looks like we're beginning to trade a little bit lower. You got the Dow sneaking into positive territory. We get a spike on the open, almost to 33,900. We're still trading above 33,800 right now on the Dow. Back to 15-minute charts now. You know what? Let's keep it on a minute and let's go to the crude chart, man. Crude, that's quite an acceleration. From $9.15 at $79, we pushed 75, 71, and as I said, we had not seen a 75 handle in the price of crude going back to the couple days that began the year. Yeah, pretty remarkable. Some of the companies out with their numbers this week, I believe, no, not bad. I always do. BB. Best Buy will be out with their numbers. We jump over to the Analyze tab on the Earnings tab. They're out with their numbers tomorrow. That's some volatility for you. We're pricing in about a $7 move for a $70 stock for Best Buy. You take a look at this thing. We put it on a weekly. Quite the pullback, man. Cut in half over the period of a year from 140 to 70. And almost a full give back of the COVID acceleration, man. From $48 up to $141, we're sitting right at the $786 in the price of Best Buy. think we get Dollar Tree as well. Jump over to the Analyze tab for Dollar Tree. Yeah, they're out with their numbers tomorrow as well, and pretty similar. You're looking at about a 9% move for that equity, but no pullback to the same degree there. And interesting, right, folks? Kind of similar. Walmart, Target. I mean, not like Dollar Tree compares to Best Buy, but you see the difference there, man. Dollar Tree, dollar stores, holding up relatively well this year, man. Dollar Tree at 160. You started the year at 140. You were at 80 bucks a year ago. Okay, versus the chart of some of those retail stocks. They'll come out with their numbers tomorrow as well. We get Abercrombie this week as well. So some retails finishing things out. And I appreciate you starting the week off with me, folks. We got a shortened week, of course, for Thanksgiving. And we got the S&Ps down by 10. NASDAQ off 37. Crude right now, almost the story of the morning, diving lower, off $4 at 76.16. We got the 10-year up a little bit, slightly lower rates. Stay tuned, folks. We got our man Basil Chapman coming up next. Live programming all day at TFNN. Have a great Monday, everybody.
Building wealth trading in the stock